Welcome back to First Look Asia. It's Johann Sebastian Bach's 333rd birthday. The Baroque composer and musician is famous for using melody to suggest actions or events. He has been described as one of the best composers of the Baroque era and one of the most important figures in classical music. Every year, a global community of musicians come together to perform his most famous works in subways. Now, joining us in studio is Lee Yen Chung, co-founder of Play It Forward, pianist Keon Chiu, and Jorim Jaira Sim, a violinist. All of you, thank you very much for coming in. I'm really excited about today's discussion topic. Yen, let's start with you. It's a great thing having Bach in the subways, but how did this whole idea come about? Because it's not the ideal place to actually play classical music, but it is. The acoustics are apparently very, very good.
Every year, Bach in the subways, musicians all around the globe come together to celebrate Bach's birthday on the March 21st. And the idea is for the musicians to give free public performances of Bach's music. And in 2010, it was initiated by cellist Dale Henderson, who started playing the cello in one of New York subways. He wanted to create opportunities to provide experience of live classical music to everyday people, and to also sow the seeds for future generations of classical music lovers. So that's how Bach in the subways came about.
Okay, now I think classical music is an incredible thing to have. We're very privileged, I think, to have people like Sebastian Bach still being celebrated. Now, Keon, I want to ask you this question. You're 10 years old. I believe you've been playing the piano for 6 years now?
Yeah.
So since you were 4? Wow, what attracted you to classical music?
I like it that it has different shapes and different lines. It is very interesting to play as each song has its own melody.
Why did you decide on falling in love with Bach? Because I know you're going to be playing some Bach tunes as well. What got you really excited about Bach?
Every Bach invention has a different feeling, and it can help me build strong foundation and better technical ability.
Wow, that's so well said. Do you have a favorite piece of work from Bach?
Yeah, the complete inventions.
Why? Why that one?
My teacher says it can help me with my concentration and mindfulness.
And has it helped? It must have. You're very, very good.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've heard about your playing abilities. Jorim, let's bring you in as well. Now, you also first started playing Bach when you were how old?
This is around maybe 7.
7 years old.
Yeah.
Did you fall in love with his pieces straight away, his incredible music straight away?
I must admit, not at the first learning of it, but
Why?
gradually.
Why? Because it's difficult to master?
Yes, a little bit. It's quite difficult because you have to actually balance a lot of the nuances as well as maintaining a balance between your personal interpretation as well as the correct historical performance context. So trying to make it stand out, but making it not too different from how it would have been originally performed. So all these different subtleties have accumulated to my current love for Bach.
Can we talk about taking music to the community? You touched on it, Yen, a little earlier. It's a great way of introducing people to music because, you know, in a world of pop music, a lot of people don't go for classical. So when you take music out into the street, do you get people stopping and actually saying, gosh, I just enjoy the pace, the melody, the theme surrounding that sort of music?
Yes, we do. In fact, we have a lot of feedback via social media and even passers-by who saw people playing, and they say it's really a good idea, and they're really touched by it. And some adults even, rekindle their interest in music, and revisit their childhood, picking up the instrument again and so on. Yeah, so we have been very encouraged by all these responses from the public.
Keon, can I ask you, when you play in front of people, especially the community, are you nervous at all? Especially this event's coming up, you'll be performing. Do you get any butterflies in your tummy?
Sometimes.
Sometimes? But what do you tell yourself when you just go out and play?
I want to share music with my world, with the world.
Very nice. And how about you? You know, when you take music out into the masses, what sort of feeling do you get when you're playing for people and people are actually kicking back and enjoying it?
It actually brings me great joy because I'm sharing what I love, I'm doing what I love, and you know, it's an art form that some people don't appreciate it enough, I feel, and it's always great to have new audiences and people who might not have even heard of the name Bach to start their journey in listening to classical music.
This year is going to be extra special because Dale Henderson is the founder of Bach in the Subways. He will also be performing this year in Singapore. Why do you think he included Singapore as one of the performances he wanted to play in?
He has heard about the initiatives that Singaporean musicians have started way back from 2015 when Tang Quartet and Lorong Boys first started giving their very first Bach in the Subways performances in Orchard Gateway in Raffles City. So, and we, as Played Forward in 2016, we carry on this tradition of getting the public to be involved in, and we call for musicians, call for young people to come forward and play with our public pianos. And he's very, he's fascinated by this community coming together, and that's why he chose to come here and to visit and perform in Singapore for the very first time.
And people who perform, they're not getting paid at all. They just go and they perform?
Yes, they're not paid at all. So it's purely on a voluntary basis.
Yeah, isn't it great being part of a global movement as well, that you know that this is actually happening in so many different places around the world, Keon?
Yes, it is.
It is, right? It's great. And Jerome?
Yeah, definitely. I would like to see more initiatives like that because really classical music is an art form that really deserves to be shown to the world and not just kept in the concert halls. And so this initiative to bring it beyond the four walls is actually a great initiative, and I hope to see more like this.
Yeah. Do you think it's difficult though? And like I said, in this age of modern pop, to actually try and get people excited about classical music. If I asked you right now 3 things that you love about classical music, what would it be, Keon?
I like it that there's so many composers and then they can have different styles in classical music. And some of the pieces got different sounds you have to bring up. The melodic phrases are also very nice.
Ah, Jerome? A couple of things that you think classical music has over pop music.
Well, I think both have their
pluses.
Yeah. But for classical music, I guess there is a little bit more technical aspects that pop music might not encompass as well. For example, you do need to learn either an instrument or be able to sing relatively well to actually move into classical music. But pop is actually accessible to everyone. But in terms of enjoyment, I believe both have their fair share.
Beautiful, well said. Thank you very much for coming in. All the best for the event. I believe it's happening on the
24th March.
Okay, Tanjong Pagar. Now, here in Singapore. Time for a short break. We've got world news coming up. We're just going to be back in a couple of minutes. Talk to you soon.
Through